Alrighty, we have a weekly outlook for week 4 of November. Should actually also line up cleanly with being the last week. Yeah, it does perfectly. Next week starts December 1st, or the week after that, obviously. Not next week, this is next week. So yeah, what do we have? We have a No News Monday, pretty classic. We have a 4-folder 8:30 news release on Tuesday, which is old data, right? That should have been released sometime back. Let me see how far back exactly. 40 days ago, right? So this is government shutdown delayed data. And then on Wednesday, we have a 8:30 unemployment claims and 2 tentative folders, which so far every folder that says tentative, even since the government reopened, has disappeared as the day grew closer. So I assume these aren't going to release, but I mean, at the same time, we do still have the 8:30 folder, and I'm pretty sure both of these would also be 8:30 folders. So, one 8:30 folder or 3. Really, what's the difference? Thursday, we have a bank holiday for the US. I assume this is Thanksgiving, probably, right? Yeah, for sure it is. And then Friday, we have no news. Now, what does this mean for me for this week? First, I'm gonna just quickly check if euro and pound have anything to say. Why did it jump backwards? Okay. Not really. Okay, so I'm just gonna take them back out. Okay, so what does this news damn, why does it keep jumping back? Hold on, let me see. Why does it keep jumping back to like 4 weeks ago? Anyway, let's select the whole week and then let's jump forward again. All right, Jesus, man. Sweet baby Jesus. Okay, so what are we looking at? Well, in my opinion, next week we can basically discount Thursday and Friday from the trading week. Because Thursday, I'm pretty sure it's one of the bank holidays where not just there's a little less volatility. I'm pretty sure it also is like an early close and the markets don't even move at all post 1 p.m. New York or whatever. I'm sure Thanksgiving is like a real bank holiday, if you know what I mean. So, and even if it isn't, it's a bank holiday, so Thursday already is no trading. And Friday, no news folder day after a bank holiday, Friday, right before the weekend. Black Friday as well. Yeah. I doubt there's going to be shit happening on Friday. Obviously, I'll keep an eye out for Friday, not Thursday, but expectation for next week is really anything that does happen is going to happen between Monday and Wednesday. Monday could be a sleeper day just because of how dead the end of the week is, where they just kind of move price crazy on a Monday. I could see that, to be honest. It's also not like we have FOMC or NFP or one of the big folders that we're waiting for next week, right? We just have PPI, which PPI is no CPI, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, anyway, focus would be on the first 3 days of the week for sure, and then a little bit on Friday just to make sure, if there's something super clean, I wouldn't ignore it on Friday. Anyway, hopping into price, we're with dollar here, completing the weekly internal-external run last week. Yeah, man, I honestly thought we could have seen a reversal from this high, right? But we're continuing higher for now, so I guess maybe disband that idea for the moment. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in between of this, but I think what I'm gonna say is potentially we're retracing on a monthly time frame kind of, and we're looking for this internal. So what I'm gonna do with that in mind, right, is I'm gonna keep my idea on dollar simple. What is my idea on dollar? my simple idea on dollar is monthly external purged here in September, and now we're displacing towards or not displacing, but now we're distributing towards monthly internal. What's my drawn liquidity? The monthly internal here, which means May highs. Right, simple bimble. That should be this swing high right here. Indeed it is. And yeah, like that's the underlying bias that I'm going to be keeping on dollar until we get something that is like a valid SMR on a high time frame chart. So the weekly does not have a valid SMR, and if we jump to the daily, we just had a daily bullish for value gap that we're respecting so far. So obviously not a monthly SMR as well. All right, moving on. We have this swing high, and then after that, it's already May highs. So, like, we're not super far off the monthly internal, right? May highs, like, this is not a crazy range. So yeah, I'm bullish next week on dollar, to sum up what I'm kind of yapping about here. My expectation is high time frame is this high up here, and next week I would be looking, like, first target would be this big bearish candle where we gapped up. So yeah, that's the dollar outlook. Keeping it simple, right? EU and GU are as well kind of mimicking what dollar's doing, obviously. For EU, I'd want to see a drawdown into these lows from earlier this month, right? This would be what I'm looking for. And then eventually down into here, potentially. But this would be what I'm looking for. And then £4, it would be the sell side down here also. So instantly going into the week, right, we're looking bearish, but I do have a pretty clear idea of what I wouldn't want to see for us to be bearish on majors, bullish on dollar, and it's essentially just this daily gap. If we inverse it to the downside on dollar, and we inverse this one to the upside on euro, and this one on pound, you know what I'm saying? I would be ready to say, okay, could have been wrong, right? Could have been wrong. So that's kind of what I'm going at. In my opinion, like, we don't necessarily have the clearest of clear targets, but at the same time, I really do like this buy side for dollar, because it's just so close to where we are, and it's just like such a glaring high in price that, like, I do see us taking that at least before we were to go lower. But yeah, for now I'm just gonna stick bullish, and then essentially look for daily displacement higher on dollar, lower on majors, for a potential continuation in that same direction. Now let's move to indices. And for indices, I'm also going to look at the monthly chart for context. Now, the thing with indices is, obviously indices have that underlying bullishness, right? Where most of the time they're trending bullish. That's just how it is, right? That's how it's always been. And it's obvious to see if you just zoom out a bit. Like, we really have like only like one consistent bearish time and two consistent bearish times. Like, we have two real retracements, and we have like a quick one here of like a couple months. But other than that, I mean, super bullish, and obviously exceedingly big candles, basically. Now, what do I think we could be doing on the monthly chart? I think we could be reaching into this monthly gap. I just, like, from the perspective of like liquidity, these monthly lows all being stacked, all being low resistance liquidity, all the way into this monthly gap, I mean, it's clean, right? It's clean to want to run through it. because there's going to be a lot of stops there. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to start shorting. And honestly, a healthy retracement on indices would be good, I think, for price, right? Pull back off of all-time highs for a while. And I think the first target to look for that like high time frame is this monthly gap, right? And then potentially this monthly gap plus this monthly order block / monthly breaker kind of area right here as like a potential area for a reversal and then a continuation back up. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Like super high time frame. And then on the weekly chart, we did just purge a weekly swing low, right? Note that, I guess. Now we do have all of these weekly equal lows or relative equal lows here on NQ and here on ES, and these line up with that monthly gap essentially, right? So that's another reason I'm kind of wanting to see that. Like we have so many stacked lows down there. Now, the only thing that kind of obviously makes me question, not obviously, but the only thing that makes me question, I guess, that perspective is just the fact of indices underlying bullishness. So like I'm not ready to like, you know, bet the house on the fact that we're going lower on indices, right? So if we drop to the daily chart, we can see that we essentially just completed a daily market maker sell model where this Friday drop of doom from back here was the original consolidation low, right? It was like the terminus in that sense. So we did complete that. Yeah. So what is my, I guess, outlook then going into the week if I am bearish? I would want to see, for bearishness, I would want to see these daily bearish order blocks on NQ and ES hold. Now for me that means no closes above mean threshold, so the middle point of these two candle bodies. And then from there I'd want to see it displace lower towards these lows here, and then respectively on ES, kind of these lows here, starting with these equal lows right here. Now, if we do start, you know, getting aggressive closes above mean threshold of the order block, I mean, like, yeah, like, as I mentioned, with the underlying bullishness, when we sweep, like, a higher time frame sell-side pool like this, you always kind of have to think, okay, could this be enough to where we've kind of shaken off or like offset enough positions to where NQ and ES are going to go back to trending higher? And very much we could have, right? So, but yeah, overall, I am still leaning bearish, right? I'm just playing devil's advocate, obviously kind of vocalizing what could be seen as the opposite position to what I'm kind of overall taking. But yeah, as I mentioned, I want to see these order blocks hold. So if we start breaking down again from here, I think the targets are those lower targets towards the monthly gaps eventually, potentially. Note also to that extent that we are approaching end of year and seasonality is bullish as fuck for like December and like, you know, end of November type deal. So from that perspective, yeah, you know, maybe not the time for shorts, but obviously seasonality isn't the end all be all to where every time we're going to do that. So anyway, on our way to looking through gold and silver, we're going to pop through the bonds here real quick. Now, what can I say about the daily chart of bonds? We have a friggin' fabulous SMT at the lows, and then we have displacement higher. So if we're just looking at bonds and we're like, okay, that might be the SMR for a move, for a sustained move higher, then wouldn't we want to be bearish on dollar? Yeah, we would want to be bearish on dollar, but we're not. What does that hint at? That hints at potential low probability conditions and the bonds and dollar not being in sync, which is something to very much keep in mind. So that's all I guess I'll say to the bonds. And then let's move to metals. And in my opinion, metals right now are in a position where, right, we took the weekly external on silver, didn't take it on gold. So at the moment we have this weekly SMT at the highs. Obviously we do still have weekly SMT at the lows as well. But if we look at the daily chart now, we're trading in between a bullish daily gap and a bearish daily gap, and same on silver. And for me, right now, the thing to do is to wait for displacement, right? You don't always need to know where price is going to go. There's no point. Sometimes you have to be mature enough to say, I don't know where it's going to go. I need to wait for more information. And at the moment, that's the case for me, right? We have weekly SMT on the highs. We have weekly SMT on the lows. We have a daily gap above price. We have a daily gap below price, and we're respecting both at the moment. Do we have daily SMT on the lows? Yes. Right? Do we have daily SMT on the highs? Not yet, but... And when I say I'm disregarding the weekly for a second, we have like daily SMT intra-week last week and no daily SMT to highs. So like, yeah, but either way, like this is very frameable in both directions. Like, yeah, we have the weekly SMT here, then we broke down daily gap and we're selling off from it. Or you could say, yeah, we're in this super high time frame bullish trend. We retrace the weekly internal. We're displacing away from it. Gold is a little weaker than silver, so it hasn't taken the high yet, but it's going to make its way there. And now we retraced into discount of this daily gap, or discount of this price leg right inside the daily gap, and we've been respecting it. We're ready to inverse this bearish gap now that we have daily SMT at the lows, and we can run higher, right? Like you can frame both directions on gold. Keeping in mind a potential bullish sentiment for dollar, right? That would lean towards a bearish one for gold. But as we've seen, once again, also that correlation isn't always there, as dollar has been bullish, right? On the daily chart, if we look here, throughout September, dollar trades higher, gold trades higher. So, you know, obviously that's not the end-all be-all. So yeah, sum it up, what do we have? Leaning bullish dollar, leaning bullish, leaning bearish majors, leaning bearish on indices, and indifferent on metals, I guess. Indifferent, bro. I don't think I've ever said that. And what, bearish on crypto? No, but crypto's been fucking ripping lower. So who knows? Maybe we can get that monthly three month gap on Solana that I've been waiting for, bro. Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yearly internal's about a smack too. Tell you that much, bro. Yearly fair value gap on Bitcoin's about a fuck. Potentially. Unless something crazy happens. Anyway, just throwing that out there, I guess. Yeah, alright. Peace out.